We deployed a 14-site flow monitoring system that aggregated and had distributed queries and stuff, and we found that it was a tremendously powerful IR tool, historical network forensics can't be beat. So yeah, we're 100% with you here, and this looks like you've got some cool functionality built.
And this product is every 3 months evolving. You know, the next big thing that's about to come out. You know, you're familiar with like the way that Arbor Peak Flow probably does its aggregation scheme. Well, we have a more powerful underlying ability with our consistent flow, so we're gonna allow a similar managed object tagging of flows, except you will have the ability to have a post hoc filter on it. It's very powerful if you, for instance, have a network where IP ranges change, but the services are remain the same. For instance, you have a large web pool, and that web pool is under DDoS attack. You flip the IP addresses on, you put it in another block. You don't want your anomaly profilers to all go haywire and say, hey, all the flows are gone. You just want that to move along. Definitely, FlowTraq is currently priced to grow market share, which is really our primary objective right now. So you'll find that comparable solution of the same magnitude might price the 6 or 7 figures for FlowTraq can be had for much less than that.
Sure.
Number of different detectors I get to choose from. A simple threshold detector that alerts when a threshold is exceeded. A blacklist detector, which can take a file from the internet, just any reputation list. You have some of our customers subscribe to the emerging threats lists. Others just want to grab the Zeus tracker list. Some others just use our reputation list, which is yet another one. Some people use the spam house list. Some people want to use all of them. Just start these things. You can assign any arbitrary filter. For instance, I only care about it if the server pool is my group of CIDR blocks. If the source autonomous system is whatever you want, you can add as many of these filters as you want to all of these detectors.
Sure.
That's blacklist. Scan detector. Very simple, very straightforward. Finds out if the total number of IP addresses contacting other IP addresses or the total number of ports used by an IP address is more than usual, where usual is actually tracked on a per IP level and on a time-based level. So this, any detector above the scan detector, so this one, the DDoS, the behavioral fingerprint, the volume detector are learning detectors. They actually create baselines for the entity that they are tracking. You actually, if you look through this product a little longer, you start getting the feel that most of these detectors are all special cases of the one that I just selected, the volume profile. The volume profile allows you to profile any entity that you can find in FlowTraq. So you'll see the exact same drop-down list here. I can go ahead and I can take a pair of autonomous systems and I can profile it for the total number of unique IP addresses, port protocols, what have you, that you see between them. At this point, it'll start remembering for any pair of IP addresses it sees what the total number of unique IPs it is that it typically sees at a given time of day. I can tell it to treat days of the week separately or days of the week the same way. So, for instance, if you say I was tracking port 25 traffic outbound from my network, it'll actually remember that you have an email list set to go out on Monday morning 9 o'clock. And if you track days of the week separately, then it will remember that it doesn't go out on Tuesday. And it will let you know when the volume is twice as large, and it will let you know when it didn't happen. Or it will let you know if it happened at 10 o'clock on Monday morning instead. So it actually will learn for any given entity, in this case, autonomous system pair. Most people usually go with IPs. It'll actually learn and remember what the typical behavior is for each one of those. Now, we don't intend to write another security information management system. We just want to be compatible with the ones out there.
So that means you're not going to fall into all the same pitfalls as Q1 Labs, huh?
Well, I wouldn't want to talk ill of Q1 Labs because they did quite well there with IBM.
Yeah, I mean, but that had a lot to do with STRM and all that stuff. And QFlow actually was kind of sexy back in the day. QFlow.
Well, they definitely did some things right, too, that we still have to learn, I'll tell you that. I mean, for instance, I see an alert here with one of our addresses talking with a blacklisted system. I want to double-click this, and I want to be taken back to the workspace, and I want to be shown the flows around that time. So that's something that's coming 5 weeks from now. So you can see we're still learning, and we're still growing.
That's great.
But not trying to both corner the flow monitoring and sim market at the same time when both of them are pretty competitive spaces is probably a good choice. That was my only point.
Yeah, your point's well taken, and I completely agree with that. But you won't believe how much infighting happens here in the dev groups on subjects like that. We must have this. No, we must have that. No, it's like, well, look, let's just focus on our core competencies first and get those right, and then we'll have the voice of the customer decide where we take it next.
So, can we see some of the sexier, more advanced kind of analytics and behavioral features of this cool little thing you guys have built?
Yeah, I was gonna show you and try to explain exactly how this works. So I've created an arbitrary number of silly detectors here, and I will dive deeper into how each of these works, as time allows. But I wanna explain to you the philosophy that FlowTraq uses behind its threat detection. So, so in this case, I have just selected a number of detectors that happen today on our network. The detector that's running is tracking the total number of packets sent by a given autonomous system. Very silly, probably arbitrary, and not very useful. But at this particular time of day, the expected value was 146 packets. Typical deviation is 230 packets from that. The actual value is 120,000 packets. So in this case, the anomaly was rather high, and you can see that for that autonomous system 2818, the number of packets was very high. It was unexpected. The little gray range here indicates where we approximately visually would have expected the value. The red dot here is how far away from that value was. You visually see very quickly how anomalous something is. In subsequently timed alerts, that autonomous system 2818, we learn more and more about it. Our confidence that this is a bad situation has grown here.
We're looking at, I was interested in whether or not your product has any features related to ratios of groups of flows by key. So like, for example, a simple one would be, I'm sure that you can do, number of one to many, Can I stack rank based on how many individual endpoints that are associated with this one local endpoint? Like, this IP talked to more hosts than anybody else, with an exception of saying not these networks.
Yeah, so you can do that. So I'm just hopping in the workspace here. What I just did is I ranked IP address by unique IP address that they contacted out to, so I can see, for instance, our wireless gateway in the last 15 minutes spoke to 223 unique IP addresses.
Gotcha.
You can downfilter that. I can, for instance, say I don't want any of those IP addresses to be 10.2. 2.0. You see what I'm doing here. I can